It puts a smile on my face each time I get an email that goes something like, "I tried reading the original trom materials back in the 90s and gave up on them. Now, with your help, I'm back on it." Trom is no doubt a fascinating subject. It's a systematic way of handling past trauma and inner conflict. It ends the games you play with your mind and in life, resulting in a happier you. Trom, which stands for the resolution of the mind, has been around for about 45 years now. But if Trom is so effective, and it's been around so long, how come no one's heard of it? In this video, I'll give you a brief history of Trom, show you how it works, and how you can learn it. So, why haven't you heard of Trom? And of those who have, why do so many shy away from it and quit? Dennis Stevens was a highly trained Scientologist and friend to L. Ron Hubbard. Because of this, many think Trom is Scientology, but it's not. The Church of Scientology forbids its members to study or practice Trom. I'm sure if the church had their way, Trom wouldn't even exist, but things might have gone differently. Dennis Stevens knew there was a problem with Scientology in the church. And I'm not talking about the scandals you read about online or see on the news. During the early years of Dianetics, Dennis knew that handling mankind's mental and spiritual condition would be merely, if not impossible, if everyone had to pay for services from the church. There would have to be a way one could get the same results they could with Dianetics, but working entirely on one's own. Despite Hubbard's numerous discoveries about the mind and spirit, he never could figure one out. After Dennis retired from the church, he got to work on developing such a method, and in the late 70s, he solved the problem. He wrote his research notes intending to share such with Hubbard, but he never got the chance. So instead, he released his works into the public domain. But that led to another problem. Dennis was a researcher, not an author, editor, or publisher, nor did he have a team of people to prepare it for or promote it to the masses. So, in Trom's early years, it was practiced mostly by ex-Scientologists and friends of his. Later on, in the early 21st century, when Trom arrived on the internet, those who put his materials online did so without much study help. Glossaries were inadequate. Lecture transcripts were filled with embarrassing typos. Some of the so-called advice on how to do Trom was inaccurate and misleading. No one bothered to make any instructional videos like the kind we have now. In other words, those who provided Trom materials on the internet weren't that much better at communicating the subject than Dennis was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Therefore, even though more people were aware of Trom, still, very few could understand it or practice it. And that's a shame, because Trom is not terribly difficult to understand and practice given the right instruction. In November of 2022, we launched our YouTube channel with videos and lectures, and in spring of 2023, we came out with a layman-friendly edition of the original manual. And in summer of 2024, we launched BetterTrom.com, which includes a video-supported online version of the manual and a glossary of terms we update regularly. We've recently added over 100 helpful illustrations to the original book, as well as the lecture transcripts, which are available to view online or download as PDFs. The first level of Trom helps orient you to the present and maintain your mental balance with your own mental creations. Trom Level 2 is the first step of separating your past from your present by comparing objects from the past to ones you can see now. Level 3 is a technique for helping you relieve past trauma and upset by viewing the past and the present at the same time. On levels 4 and 5 of trom, you address conflicts and transgressions with a systematic method of exploring your past. With trom, you relieve past trauma, release yourself from guilt and anger, and your inner conflicts come to an end. Simply put, you'll be happier and more in touch with the now. No items to purchase, no therapist to consult, no organization to answer to. In other words, you won't have to buy, sign, or join anything to get results. You can even email us with questions. Since trom is self-studied and self-practice, you can keep it as your own little secret if you want. But don't be surprised if your friends and family ask you why you seem so much happier lately, as some viewers have written in and told us. For the fastest, most informative introduction to trom, watch our Start Here playlist. If you are familiar with diametics, make the first video you watch returning in diametics versus time breaking when trom. Those who prefer to just read, go to our website, bettertrom.com, for our fully illustrated and annotated reading materials. Audio learners can listen to my podcast on this channel or dive in headfirst with the Trom Mastery audio course, which gives a thorough explanation of trom theory and requires no previous study. So, why have you never heard of trom? Because no one since Dennis Stevens himself has dedicated as much time and effort to it as we have. And why should you know about trom? The short answer is, trom will help you lead a happier life. Period. I'm Allison Tandry, a former Scientologist and instructor whom, after decades with the church, now practices trom instead. To find out more about why I made my choice, watch Why I Left Scientology and Now Do trom next.